What is up, fanatics, fan guy addicts? This is your boy, Josh Fan Guy, bringing you episode 10 of the Ultimate Fan Guy. Today we're going to be doing our quick picks for this week. Going to go over and highlight just a few of my favorite positions, players at each position. We're going to get into a little bit more detail tomorrow in Friday's extensive episode where we cover all the matchups or the majority of the important ones. But today, just to give you a little bit of highlights so you can get your lineups in case you wanted to play somebody tonight, just want to give you some of my absolute favorite top picks for the week. If you watched last week's quick pick episode, we nailed it. We called Matt Ryan. We called Kyler Murray. We were dead on quarterbacks. That's for damn sure. And I actually think I'm going to be dead on again this week. So let's see what we can do. So we're going to start with quarterbacks for this week. My favorite quarterbacks for this week it's pretty weird because 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so I do like Kyler Murray. He's the fourth listed quarterback on this list, but he's actually my sixth. I'm gonna give you six quarterbacks I like this week, and Kyler Murray comes in at number 6, partially because of value. He's a little more expensive. He's way more expensive than every other quarterback on my list. He's 6,700, which makes him very close to them. He's only 300 less than the most expensive receiver of the quarterback of the week. So he's pretty expensive, but I do like Kyler Murray. My top quarterbacks of the week, in no particular order. I do know I have Murray at 6 just because he's the most expensive. But I think them boys this week, as terrible as they looked, I love Dak Prescott this week. Philly's been very tough against the run. They've been very soft against the pass. Amari Cooper might be out, but I still like Prescott and Randall Cobb. But I still like Prescott this week. He's not my number one quarterback play of the week, but I do like his value at 6,200 in a game where they are certainly going to have to throw. You might even expect Dak to get a little bit of work done with his legs. So I do like Prescott this week. I don't even know how I'm going to say this after what he did to me last week. I'm really kind of ill to my stomach because this dude cost me several fantasy games last week, and he is maybe my number one quarterback this week, and that's going to be Jared Goff against Atlanta. Atlanta is just really bad against the pass, and the Rams have some pretty good targets. They're not going to get the pressure on Goff like San Francisco did last week. So I actually think Jared Goff is one of my I can't even believe I'm doing it. Look, I'm sticking him in. He's maybe my top QB play this week. Moving on, I like Daniel Jones a lot this week. Daniel Jones, wow, I might like Daniel Jones. Where's he at? Oh, there he is, 6,100. He's just 100 less than Goff. And I think he has an excellent matchup this week against Arizona, who can't stop anything. So, I wouldn't be surprised to see Daniel Jones, Danny Dimes, light things up this week. They're actually pretty high on him. 6,100 is more than Jones has been in a while. So, DraftKings knows what's up. Arizona's just terrible against the pass. And I could definitely see Danny Dimes doing good things this week. Going to 5,800, Kirk Cousins against Detroit. This one I'm on the fence about. He's probably the one I'm most on the fence about, but I do like Cousins again this week. I don't think he does what he did last week. And if you rewind to last week's episode, I said he was going to have a huge week last week, which he did, bigger than the week before. And this week, I think he goes back to that week before status where he's going to get a couple TDs. Don't know if they're going to go to Diggs or Thielen or random guy X, but if you're looking for a cheaper option at quarterback, I think Cousins is good. But I do think there's one cheaper option that I like even more, and that is Gardner Minshew. I actually like Gardner Minshew. You would swear I'm high on the Jags every week. This was my one quarterback pick last week that didn't quite work out. I was thinking they were going to play a little better at home, and the Saints' defense is for real. So this week, Minshew draws Cincinnati, third worst passing defense in the league. I'm very confident he's going to have a pretty dang good day. So, Minshew's on the list as well. So those are the quarterbacks I like this week. Moving on to running backs. So, just to clarify, I love Saquon this week, but he's almost 9,000. He's 8,900. If you play Saquon this week, you are going to have to just trim every single other position to its bare minimum, and I don't like doing that, especially when you can get some value a little bit less. So, guys, I like this week. Topping my list is Leonard Fournette. He is a workhorse in Jacksonville. He is getting the second worst run defense in the league in Cincinnati. He's involved in the pass game. I love Fournette this week. I think he is going to go ape shit all over the Bengals. Which is another reason I'm kind of a little lower on Minshew, who I just mentioned, because I just think Fournette's just going to just wallop him. Next, I'm staying away from the really expensive guys. It's not that I don't like their matchups. I do like David Johnson's matchup. Dalvin Cook on paper has a great matchup. Zeke, I don't like Zeke's matchup. I don't know why they have him so high. Maybe it's just because Dallas is going to have to be a focal point. But I'm getting off track. I'm getting into tomorrow's analysis. I like Kamara. I like all these guys. They're just very expensive, and I think there are guys with equal value that are a little cheaper. I like Chris Carson a lot. Seattle at home against Baltimore. Baltimore has been vulnerable to the run this year, so I do like Carson. Not sure I can slide him into this lineup because he's a little expensive. Excuse me. Going a little further down. If Gurley plays this week, I think he's a fine play. I actually like Le'Veon Bell this week against the Patriots, and the Patriots defense is stout. But I just think the volume's going to be there for Bell. I think he's going to catch 8 passes this week and, put up 70, 80 all-purpose yards. I don't think it's a home run day for him, obviously. But for his price, I think you're going to get 15 to 20 points out of him. I truly believe that, even against the Patriots defense. Derrick Henry I love this week. He's playing for Tennessee. They have a quarterback controversy brewing right now where, they're starting Tannehill this week. So I think they're going to be leaning on Henry a lot against the vulnerable Chargers defense that, has let up, has let running backs hit him this year. I also like Singletary for the Bills. Look, they're playing Miami. So Josh Allen's technically a quarterback I like this week as well. I'll get in more into that tomorrow. But I think it's going to be a running day for these guys. I don't really know why Singletary is more expensive than Gore. I guess it's because DraftKings knows that he's more talented than Frank Gore and younger and fresher. And he's, just getting back. I'm a little worried about his workload this week. They seem to still be relying on Frank Gore. But I do believe Singletary is the better back there, and he has a really juicy matchup this week against Miami. So if there was ever a week to get him back into the mix, back into the fold, and see how he's going, this will be a good week. However, worth noting, he's also coming off of an injury. So while I will have Singletary in a few of my lineups this week, be cautious about that. Big surprise for me is Josh Jacobs is ranked so low. He's playing against Green Bay, who has been extremely generous. I'm actually going to stick him in right now just when I noticed his price. He's only 5,000. He in games that are close, where Oakland can hang in there, he gets a ton of work. Green Bay is very vulnerable to the run. Gruden knows this. They're very good against the pass. I think this is a Josh Jacobs week. I think he's criminally undervalued this week on DraftKings. And he is definitely my value of the week. Next is going to be Freeman, but not the Freeman who blew up for Atlanta last week. I'm actually talking Royce Freeman in tonight's game, just to give you a little player for tonight's game. I think it could be a Phillip Lindsay game. I think it could be a Royce Freeman game. But if Denver is following the blueprint of the last few teams to have success against KC, it is by running the ball. Carlos Hyde had 100-something, 12 yards or something last week. Freeman is the more physical, between the tackles guy on Denver, more so than Lindsay. Lindsay is a little bit more of a scat back. So for Freeman at 4,700, I think he could turn out a pretty good day. I don't like his volume, the same reason I don't like Lindsay's volume. But if there was a week to deploy him and you needed a guy who was under 5,000 to play, Royce Freeman's my guy for sure. We're going to go on to wide receivers now. I'll give you my top picks of wide receivers. So because Amari Cooper's trending out right now and Gallup is trending in, love Michael Gallup this week. He's 6,500, which is a little expensive actually. And now in retrospect, as I look at his price, it's a little expensive. He's in there with the big dogs price wise this week. So, but I do think he has a great game, particularly if Cooper sits, because Dallas is going to have to throw the ball. I like Larry Fitzgerald, who comes in at 6,100. He's playing against the Giants. If I like Kyler Murray, I have to like Fitzgerald. They're gonna be able to throw against the Giants. The Giants are pretty good against the run, but not so good against the pass. And I think again, whoever Arizona plays, usually it's like the highest scoring game of the week. So I like Fitzgerald at 6,100. Okay, so I'm gonna scroll down here and actually I like Brandon Cooks this week. Atlanta is very vulnerable to the deep pass, and while Goff scares me by what we saw last week, they're very vulnerable to the deep pass. Cooks is their deep ball specialist. Obviously it's the trifecta of Woods, Cup, and Cooks. I expect two of those three guys to have pretty good days this week. Not sure which two. The reason I like Cooks so much is quite simply his price. He is incredibly cheap, and yeah. I mean, he's just cheap. So let's get on that train. Another guy I like a lot this week is Tyler Boyd. Tyler Boyd had a pretty slow week last week, but let's remember Jalen Ramsey's not with the Jags anymore. Their secondary has just taken a major hit. Boyd's already the slot guy anyway, but without extra Jalen Ramsey coverage, Boyd, combined with his slow week last week, Boyd should be one of the bright spots in the Cincinnati offense as they play the Jags in a game where I think the Jags lead, so they're going to be throwing, and I think Boyd's going to get a significant amount of work this week, compensating for the lack of work he's gotten the last few weeks. So I love Tyler Boyd this week. Another guy I like this week, probably going to have to scroll up for him, and he is way undervalued, and that is T.Y. Hilton. Holy crap. As someone who lives in Houston but is not, I like the Texans. They're my second favorite NFL team. But what T.Y. Hilton does to them on a yearly basis, even as like only a semi-Texans fan, T.Y. Hilton shreds the Texans every year without fail. He puts up like 200 yards. I'm going to bank on him doing it again. For some reason, he just eats the Texans' souls. He's only 5,900, which for me is also one of the sickest values of the week, because I'm fully expecting a complete blow-up game from him. Just to give you a couple more players tonight's game, Sutton or Sanders. I kind of like them both. I'm waiting for Sanders to get his bounce-back game. He says he's 100%. Would not be surprised if Sanders turned it up tonight against KC in a game they might be losing. Also, Sutton, they're both so cheap week to week. Sutton has been way more consistent. But I think with Sanders healthy, if you want to take a flyer on either one of these guys, they're both okay plays. And finally, Dante Pettis. Dante Pettis is emerging as Jimmy G's favorite target other than Kittle. Pettis is really, really cheap. He's 4,100, so he's probably actually going to make a few of my lineups. Not this one, but he's going to make a few of my lineups this week just because they're playing against Washington. Very bad defense. They're probably going to win. They're probably going to run the ball a lot, to be honest, which is why I'm not super high on Pettis. But if you're digging real deep, and he's actually a playable guy for only 4,100. So you can look there if you need a super cheap player. On the tight ends, our tight ends for the week, for sure my tight end that I love the most is Evan Ingram. He's very expensive at 6,500, which is really expensive for a tight end. But he's going to pay dividends this week against Arizona, who is atrocious against the tight end. Also, like Austin Hooper at 5,300. I'm a little worried he comes back down to earth because he's just had so many good weeks in a row. It's hard for me to trust him again. But, I mean, it's tough not to trust him whenever he's just wrecking shop every week. I also like Andrews at 4,900. Darren Waller at 4,700. Gerald Everett at 3,700, I think is a really good play this week. And TJ Hawkinson at 3,600, I think he could have a good game against Minnesota where they're going to have to throw. On this particular lineup, because I'm already running Cooks, that means I'm not going to run Everett. I'm already running Jacobs, which means I'm not going to run. I got to kind of see what my budget is. And normally I pick tight end first, but there's a few I like this week, varied price ranges. So we're going to go to defenses, pick one of those, and then see what we have left to work with. So defenses, I like all the expensive defenses this week, except for I do like one or two cheaper defenses. I like the top three, the Patriots, the Bills, and the 49ers. Those are my top three defenses for the week. DraftKings actually agrees with me this week. They're all very expensive. Patriots coming in at 4,400, though they're in New York against Darnold back. So actually, I don't think the Patriots do what they've been doing this week, though I do think they have a good week. I just don't think it's going to be another 27, 25, 30-point week. Bills against Miami, I love them. They're just rock steady. They're in Buffalo, and Miami can't do anything about anything. So they're even bouncing back forth on who's playing quarterback. So I love the Bills. 49ers against Washington. Love, love, love them. The Bears and the Saints, I think that's going to be a defensive showdown in Chicago. So I like both those defenses a lot too. The defense I'm going to choose to run this week on this lineup, because I know I'm going for a really expensive tight end, I'm actually going to take the Saints D, and that'll free me up to be able to take Evan Ingram, who is my top tight end. And then I have 5,500 for a flex. Let's see who's available. Ertz, Rob. I don't like Robinson. He's going to be up against Lattimore. Ertz. Dallas is very susceptible to the tight end. Ertz has been getting a lot of targets. I think I'm going to go Ertz, even though I'm not super crazy about it. John Brown could also have a big game, but he's a little banged up right now. I think Ertz has some pretty good upside in Dallas this week, so I'm going to go with Ertz. And that's going to be that lineup. So those are my favorite picks for the week. I hope they helped you out. Hope you have a good week this week and win a little something, something. So much love, much love. Thanks for coming by the Ultimate Fan Guy today. We'll be back with more extensive coverage tomorrow. Thanks so much.